Have you ever felt like someone like just pulled the rug out from under you?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of how I felt watching Cristin Milioti in this week's deep dive material.
Wow.
This latest episode of The Penguin, it's, well, talk about Emmy worthy. Seriously.
She delivers. She really does. It's like a master class.
It really
Yeah.
is. This episode goes deep into Sofia Falcone's story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she starts out, she seems like this innocent mafia princess. And we'll unpack all that, but by the end, she's got a new title, the Hangman.
Chills.
I know, right? Gives me chills.
What's really fascinating is how they use those flashbacks, you see.
Yeah.
So we see Sophia, like, in her element, total elegance, total poise before everything changes. It just makes that shift in her personality, like, hit harder, you know?
It does.
So
It really does. I mean, you see the events that cause this change, right?
Yeah.
Oz, her lover, kills her brother. She gets sent to prison for a crime she didn't even commit.
Right.
It's like you can feel her hardening right there in front of you.
True.
This episode, it's not just a crime drama. It's like a Greek tragedy almost.
It really is, and that's where things get interesting, you know? Is she a villain? Or is she a victim? Or is she maybe a little bit of both?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah. How much would you endure before you started taking matters into your own hands, right?
Right. Okay, let's talk about the acting for a second because, wow, that Daily Beast article we read,
Yeah.
they said her range is like a conductor with an orchestra.
Wow.
Especially like how she does tears.
It's true.
What moments like stood out to you?
Okay, so when Sophia like starts to think, wait a minute, maybe my dad killed my mom?
Yeah.
That's big. You see this flicker of doubt, right? And it goes from this wide-eyed innocence to like this like restrained grief. It's subtle, but it's so powerful.
It is. It makes you wonder, right? Like, how much does someone have to go through before they just lose that innocence?
Mm-hmm.
And is it really gone? Or is it just buried under, like, all the pain and betrayal?
Exactly. And then you see how she treats Oz changes.
Yeah.
It starts with pity, but then it becomes, as the episode goes on, it becomes this like cold detachment, like she's closing herself off from the pain that he's caused.
It's heartbreaking to watch because you realize that she's doing this to survive.
Yeah.
She has to harden herself to fight back.
Absolutely.
And that controlled rage during that last showdown with her family, oh my God.
Yeah.
So intense.
That last scene, right, where she engineers the downfall of her own family.
Yeah.
It's chilling, but it's also just like deeply unsettling. The way she can like convey this simmering rage underneath while she's outwardly calm.
Yeah.
Just masterful. Every little thing, every gesture, every glance, it speaks volumes.
It reminded me actually of some of her other roles, like in 30 Rock.
Yes.
The Resort, even Mythic Quest.
Yeah.
She has this incredible knack for these characters that are like vulnerable and strong at the same time.
Yes.
You know, capable of great love, but also, as we see, utter ruthlessness.
Yeah. And it's that duality, I think, that makes her performance as Sophia so captivating, you know?
Absolutely. It's not even just a descent into darkness. It's a fight for control.
Oh, interesting.
It's a fight for agency in a world that just seems determined to strip those things away.
Yeah.
And that's a theme that I think resonates way beyond Gotham, don't you think?
100%.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that are visually very powerful,
Oh, yeah.
can we talk about the costumes in this episode?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that green dress when she's arrested.
Yes.
And then later the chartreuse gown during the revenge.
Right.
It's like a visual echo, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just, you know, just a choice they made. Like, it has meaning.
Right.
Remember that in the Daily Beast article, how they highlight that specific color?
Yeah.
It's deliberate. Chartreuse, it's almost like this visual representation of her inner turmoil, you know?
Wow.
Like a poison that's slowly seeping in
Oh, wow.
and changing her.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's like we're watching her innocence get stripped away.
Yeah.
And replaced with this, like, hard shell.
Right.
And that gown, that chartreuse gown.
Yeah.
It's like armor, you know?
Oh, interesting.
A symbol of her taking control.
And she does. She takes control.
She does.
It's terrifying, but also kind of exhilarating
I know.
to watch her, like, orchestrate that whole showdown
It's true.
with her family.
Yeah. And speaking of control, I mean,
Yeah.
this episode, it really digs into those classic Gotham themes.
Okay.
You know, innocence lost, power corrupts,
Right.
all that.
Yeah. And it's like Sophia's story
Yeah.
becomes this microcosm of this question
Totally.
that we see all the time in The Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Can anyone, like, truly escape the darkness of Gotham?
Right. Even someone like Sophia, who starts out, seemingly untouched by it,
Right.
gets sucked into this vortex of violence and corruption.
Yeah.
Is there a point of no return? What do you think?
That's what I want to know. Like, is she destined
Yeah.
to just become another villain
Right.
in Gotham's long history of messed up people?
Right.
Or is there some hope
Yeah.
for redemption? Can she come back from that last scene?
That's the question. I mean,
Oh, no.
on one hand, you have this brutal act of revenge.
Yeah.
I mean, she took out most of her family.
I know.
It's hard to come back from that.
Yeah. It's a lot to process.
It is.
And yet she's still got that vulnerability, that
Wow.
woundedness to her
And
that makes you still, like, empathize with her.
Yes.
Even though, you can't condone what she did.
Right.
So it's like, how do you reconcile those two sides?
That is the question.
Her personality.
And I think that's the brilliance of Milioti.
Yes.
She just walks this tightrope,
Yeah.
perfectly conveying both the dark and the light.
Yeah.
You're torn between, like, condemning her
Right.
and rooting for her at the same time.
It's true.
Have you ever felt that pull?
Oh, yeah.
That conflict?
It's like watching a Greek tragedy, but, like, set in Gotham.
Right, and that last scene
cool.
with her dancing through the house after,
Oh, my God, yeah.
after everything.
It's messed up,
It's a lot.
but also kind of beautiful,
It's true, and you know what they said in the article?
What's
They
that?
called it this
Yeah.
deeply dark, bittersweet flourish or something like that.
Yeah.
Which, I gotta say,
Yeah.
pretty much nails it.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And it left me with so many questions, though.
Oh, I know, me too.
Like, what happens next?
Yeah.
What happens to Sophia?
What does she do?
Will she, like, try to rebuild her family
Right.
in her image?
Will it crush her, like the weight of what she did?
It's a lot to carry,
That is.
And what about Oz? I mean,
Oh, right.
he's had a huge impact on her journey.
Yeah, even if it wasn't on purpose,
Right, exactly.
Like, will their paths keep crossing?
I don't know. Will he try to stop her?
Or join her?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Right.
This episode was a wild ride, that's all I know.
It really was.
Cristin Milioti, man.
So good.
The emotion, those visuals, like the costumes we were just talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it all just built to this really powerful moment.
It did. It really stayed with me. And
Yeah,
it
right.
makes you think, like, what would it take
Yeah.
to push you to that point?
That's the question, isn't it?
Where's the line between vengeance and justice?
Oh, that's a good one to think about.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this show, though.
Me too.
And this episode really took it there.
It did.
So to our listeners, if you haven't already, you got to see this.
Series.
The Penguin, check it out. Pay close attention to Sophia
Watch her journey.
and ask yourself, is she a villain? Is she a victim? Or is she, as we were saying,
Maybe both.
a little bit both? It's really fascinating. And until next time, keep diving deep, everybody.